They obviously do not realize we're sleeping in the office.
In fact, when they did fund us,
Yeah.
they realized that we were illegal immigrants.
Well, I mean,
Yes, we were.
I'd say it's a gray area.
Yeah, yes, we were. We were illegal immigrants. We were sleeping in the office.
Hi everyone, JJ here. Welcome back. Well, is Elon Musk being a massive illegal immigration hypocrite? That's the story for today. More drama from Elon Musk as we head into the US election. He's been on the campaign trail for Trump, of course, and this article appeared in the Washington Post just a few days ago, so I'm going to get into it and why it's important for the current campaign and what Musk is doing at the moment. The headline here is Elon Musk, enemy of open borders, launched his career working illegally, and the byline here is investors in Musk's first company worried about our founder being deported and gave him a deadline for obtaining a work visa. And there is Elon in his early office there. Now the article starts long before he became one of Donald Trump's biggest donors and campaign surrogates. South African-born Elon Musk worked illegally in the United States as he launched his entrepreneurial career after ditching a graduate studies program in California, according to former business associates, court records, and company documents obtained by the Washington Post. And that is how he got into the United States in the first place, to study. Now we get to why this is important. Musk in recent months has amplified the Republican presidential candidate's claims that open borders and undocumented immigrants are destroying America, broadcasting those views to more than 200 million followers on the site formerly known as Twitter, which Musk bought in 2022 and later renamed X. Now, what the article reveals, more in depth than has been revealed before, what Musk has not publicly disclosed is that he did not have the legal right to work while building the company that became Zip2, which sold for about $300 million in 1999. It was Musk's stepping stone to Tesla and the other ventures that have made him the world's wealthiest person and arguably America's most successful immigrant, illegal immigrant, as it turns out. Now, here's why it's important at the moment. This is a different article from Bloomberg, the headline being Elon Musk is now X's biggest promoter of anti-immigrant conspiracies, it alleges. The billionaire owner is spreading debunked theories of undocumented voters swaying the US election and growing his influence in the process. I'll get back to the Washington Post article in depth in a moment, but this one says immigration and voter fraud has become by far the entrepreneur's favorite and most popular policy topic online. That's why it's important. Is he being a massive hypocrite here by doing this? According to a large-scale Bloomberg analysis of his posts on X, the social network, in 2024, Musk's frequent posts on immigration, including claims about the crimes attributed to migrants.
They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
The pace of their entry into the US and the false assertion that Democrats are using them to cast votes have received more reposts than any other policy issues he writes about. So he's in the forefront on this issue. And was he an illegal immigrant himself back in the day? It seems yes. Bloomberg analyzed more than 53,000 posts sent from Musk's account on X. His posts turned increasingly political, as we know if we've been following Musk on X. As the 2024 US presidential race got underway, he started promoting conspiracies and misinformation about immigration and voter fraud. In fact, immigration and voter fraud became his most frequently posted policy topic and one that often earned him the most engagement online. From January to March 2024, he posted repeatedly about the false notion that undocumented immigrants were being imported by the Democratic Party and would unlawfully cast votes. In 2024, immigration and voter fraud has become Musk's most frequently posted and engaged with policy topic, garnering about 10 billion views. Musk posted more than 1,300 times about the topic overall, with more than 330 posts in the past 2 months alone. So this is bound to have a big influence. He's got such a big audience. Obviously, yes, he owns the platform and he can distribute his posts, his thoughts out to so many people. Now, getting back to the article about Musk's illegal immigration and his brother Kimbal as well, Musk and his brother Kimbal have often described their immigrant journey in romantic terms as a time of personal austerity, undeterred ambition, and a willingness to flout conventions.
Well, that was the summer of '95. I had no money whatsoever. I was working, doing research in Silicon Valley on a completely different subject, and trying to start this company at the same time. And when it came time to decide, do I want to do graduate studies or do I want to start this company, and I decided to start the company, I had no money. As a graduate student, I would have received a scholarship and a stipend and so forth. In starting the company, I had nothing. I had no income source. So we found that an office was actually cheaper than an apartment in Silicon Valley. So we got this dinky little office that had a leaky roof. It was just the nastiest place you can imagine.
And you lived in it too?
And I lived in it too and showered at the YMCA. This lasted for about 3 or 4 months. And the reason we chose this office, in addition to it being really cheap, was that there was an internet service provider on the floor below. So we were able to get really cheap internet access by drilling a hole in the floor and connecting to their server directly.
Musk arrived in Palo Alto in 1995 for a graduate degree program at Stanford University, but never enrolled in the courses, working instead in his startup. So that's how he got into the country to study at Stanford, but he decided not to do that. Leaving school left Musk without a legal basis to remain in the United States, according to legal experts. Foreign students cannot drop out of school to build a company, even if they are not immediately getting paid, said Leon Fresco, a former Justice Department immigration litigator. If you do anything that helps to facilitate revenue creation, such as design code or try to make sales in furtherance of revenue creation, then you're in trouble, Fresco said. Now, Musk's freewheeling business approach soon conflicted with Zip2's hopes of becoming a public company or entering a high-profile merger, which would have subjected it to scrutiny by the US Securities and Exchange Commission, according to former associates. So when the venture capital firm Moore Davidow Ventures poured $3 million into Musk's company in 1996, the funding agreement, a copy of which was obtained by the Post, stated that the Musk brothers and an associate had 45 days to obtain legal work status, otherwise the firm could reclaim its investment.
For us to hear, we'll give you $3 million.
Yeah, that sounded extremely, we thought they were crazy. Like, why would they do that?
It was literally like, these people are insane.
The immigration status was not what it should be for them to be legally employed running a company in the US, said Derek Proudian, a Zip2 board member at the time, who later became chief executive. Investors agreed. Proudian said, "We don't want our founder being deported." Deported back to Canada, presumably, because that's where they came from at that time. Now, another large shareholder at the time who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss sensitive matters said a minor problem drew additional attention to the Musk brothers' unresolved immigration issues. Musk told co-workers he was in the country on a student visa, according to 6 former associates and Zip2 holders. "We want to take care of this long before there's anything that could screw up the company's path to an initial public offering," Proudian recalled. The company was heading towards going public, and the fact that Elon Musk wasn't a citizen or was there illegally was a problem that was brought up at the time. However, in Elon Musk's public retelling of his immigration story, he has never acknowledged having worked without proper legal status. In 2013, he joked about being in a grey area early in his career. And in 2020, Musk said he had a student work visa after deferring his studies at Stanford. "I was legally here," he said, "but I was meant to be doing student work. He said in a 2020 podcast, I was allowed to do work sort of supporting whatever. That's pretty vague. I do have video of Musk and Kimbal Musk talking about the grey area they were in when they came in. And Kimbal was admitting that they were illegal immigrants. Elon said it's a grey area, and they seem to be pretty proud of these beginnings as illegal immigrants coming in to start a business when they really weren't supposed to be doing that.
We were illegal immigrants.
Well, I mean,
Yes, we were.
I'd say it was a grey area.
Yeah, yes, we were. We were illegal immigrants.
Yes, they went on to be very successful, especially Elon, but the start of it definitely seems to be, as this article reveals, on the illegal side as an illegal immigrants coming into the country from Canada. Now, if you're getting value out of this episode so far, I really appreciate it if you remember to hit that like button to help the algorithm to spread it to more people. And if you're new here, do consider subscribing if you want more of this kind of content in the future. Musk, his attorney Alex Spiro, and the manager of Musk's family office, who seems to come up a lot in these articles and in videos I've been making, he did not respond to emailed requests for comment. Now, later in 2005, Musk acknowledged in a late night email that he did not have authorization to be in the United States when he founded Zip2. The email from Musk to Tesla co-founders Martin Eberhard and JB Straubel, Elon demanded that he be listed as co-founder later on after he'd invested in the company, but I digress. Now, this email was submitted as evidence in a long since closed California defamation lawsuit and said he applied to Stanford so he could remain in the United States illegally. So he applied to Stanford, not intending to go, it seems, to Stanford and starting a business instead, and that's how he got around the immigration regulations at the time. He said, actually, I didn't really care much for the degree, but I had no money for a lab and no legal right to stay in the country. So that seemed like a good way to solve both issues, Musk wrote. Then the internet came along, which seemed like a much better bet than going to university, going straight into business with a dot-com bubble starting to get going in 1995. Right up to 1999, and that's when they built their business and did well before the bubble burst. Now, as I said, Musk never enrolled at Stanford. In a May 2009 deposition, he said he called the department chair 2 days after the start of the semester to say he wasn't going to attend. In the same deposition, he said he began working at Zip2, originally called Global Link Information Network, didn't know that, in August or September 1995. Now, upon not enrolling, Musk would have had to leave the country according to legal experts and immigration laws at the time. He would not have been allowed to work. While overstaying as a student visa is somewhat common and officials have at times turned a blind eye to it, it remains illegal, and it was at the time. So this is the way that he got around the regulations, sort of slipped in from Canada, enrolled as a student, but started to work unnoticed. And of course, they did get investment and people did want them to stay there, and he's done very well. But the fact remains that he seems to have been illegal at the time, and now he's railing against illegal immigrants coming in years later. The revelation that Musk lacked the legal right to work in the United States stands at odds with his recent focus on undocumented migrants and US border security, among the issues that have led him to spend more than $100 million helping Trump return to the White House. This is true. Tweet after tweet, he's been railing against illegal immigrants in many different ways, and it turns out he's a total hypocrite because that's how he went to the US in the first place. But it's different, right? Because he's a privileged white man, and the brown people shouldn't do the same thing, right? That's what's being implied often, it seems, by Elon Musk. He doesn't think of his situation, you know, the reasonably wealthy, privileged people coming in with entrepreneurial skills. Who's to say that a lot of the immigrants coming in aren't the same, or there's somebody Elon Musk like there in that group might start businesses one day who was in the same position as he was back then. If Trump wins on November 5th, both men have said Musk could have a high-profile role in his administration. On X, Musk has become an avid booster of anti-immigrant rhetoric, falsely accusing Vice President Kamala Harris and other Democrats of importing voters. This has been debunked. Undocumented immigrants are legally barred from voting in state and federal elections. In February, he wrote that illegals in America can get insurance, driver's licenses. However, Musk would have been required to have both to drive a vehicle, which associates attested he frequently did during the time he lacked a legal work permit. In fact, when they first got funding for their company, Kimbal Musk talked about the story how the investors gave them $3 million for their company and also gave them money for a car because they went to that funding meeting and said they were taking a bus, and the investors couldn't believe it and gave them $30,000 each to buy cars.
We take the bus to our venture partnership meeting. We have a successful meeting. We're negotiating and getting the whole thing done. The whole deal kind of happens that day. And at the end of the day, we say we have to leave because we got to catch the bus. And they're like, what do you mean you have to catch the bus? And I said, yeah. And they said, okay, hold on. Okay, we need to get these guys cars. So they actually gave us like a $30,000 budget each to buy a car. We're like, these guys are great. Yeah. We went from sleeping on the floor in our apartment to we each get a car. Forget the rest of the investment. Like, we think America is the greatest country in the world.
So Elon Musk is railing against something that he definitely seemed to have done back in the day, come in illegally, had a driver's license, all the things that he says illegal immigrants shouldn't be given, shouldn't be allowed to do now. This is an Elon Musk tweet. The legal immigration process in America needs to be greatly streamlined and expanded, while illegal should be shut down. If someone is talented, hardworking, and honest, they are an asset to the country. Who's to say that some of these people coming in illegally, just like he did, aren't like that? Maybe they've got a different color of skin. Does he have a problem with that? I think he seems to. A lot of the people coming in illegally from the southern border in particular have brown skins, but coming in from Canada as a privileged white male, is that okay to him? Is that the difference? Does he see the hypocrisy there? He came from South Africa. If somebody came from South Africa who wasn't white, is that a problem for him? You get the feeling that it might be, even if they were skilled. Coming in from Canada the same way he did, he sees that as a big problem now. But for him and his brother, of course it wasn't a problem at the time, was it? US immigration regulations for foreign students were more lax in the 1990s before September 11, 2021, 9/11, of course. The terrorist attacks prompted an overhaul, according to immigration law experts. Musk, who obtained Canadian citizenship through his mother, would not have needed a visa from the State Department to study in a US university. He could simply show US university enrollment documents to US border officers to enter the United States with student status, legal experts said. So it was pretty easy for him to come in that way. Foreign students enrolled in the US degree programs may be authorized to work part-time and for limited periods to complete their degree requirements. Musk could obtain work authorization as a student, but that would have required him to be engaged in a full course of study at Stanford. Otherwise, that would have been a violation, Cohen said. If he didn't go to school, he wasn't maintaining a status. I mean, these things seem like they're not such a big deal, but the problem is that Musk is making this a big deal. He's making a huge deal out of it every day on Twitter, making a campaign for Trump, supporting Trump and railing against illegal immigrants. Even the way that he came in, he doesn't like that. He wouldn't like that these days. So quite a different story when it comes to other people. Is he pulling up the ladder after getting into the country and doing incredibly well as an illegal immigrant, pulling up the ladder to everybody else who wants to do the same thing? Now, Elon's brother Kimbal Musk has repeatedly acknowledged working in the United States without legal status, describing his experience as evidence of a dysfunctional US system that blocks talented foreigners. So they're talented enough to come in, but other people, they don't know who's coming in. They don't know there's some other very talented people coming in illegally. They just don't know that. In a 2013 on-stage interview alongside his brother, he said that they were sleeping in the their office and showering at the YMCA when they joined the dot-com gold rush.
Through the end of '95, that's essentially we're just sleeping in the office and showering at the YMCA, and then around the end of '95 is when Netscape went public, and then whether or not somebody knew what the internet was, they knew that you could make money on the internet somehow. Or even if it's only on the greater fool theory.
Then investors began offering them huge sums of money and buying them cars, he said, only to find out that the brothers had no legal permission to work in the United States.
When we went and talked to venture capitalists in early '96, there was a much greater interest in what we were doing. In fact, the round closed in like maybe a week or something.
It's crazy. Yeah, we went from sleeping in the office to people throwing, I mean, again, this is a financial crowd, so you guys see these numbers every day, but for us to hear, we'll give you $3 million.
Yeah, that sounded extremely, we thought they were crazy. Like, why would they do that?
It was literally like, these people are insane.
They obviously do not realize we're sleeping in the office.
In fact, when they did fund us, they realized that we were illegal immigrants. Kimbal said in a 2013 interview, he did say that. He laid it out plainly. And this is where Elon Musk said, it was a gray area, but Kimbal was pretty definite there. He said, no, we were illegal immigrants. He did state that.
In fact, when they did fund us, they realized that we were illegal immigrants. We were illegal immigrants.
Kimbal has also said that he misled US federal agents to re-enter the United States for a critical investor meeting after visiting his mother in Canada, and that's where they did get the initial funding. When US officers searching his luggage at the airport discovered his business cards and California address, they realized he was traveling for work without authorization. After they turned him away, he said he enlisted a friend to drive him over the border, telling other officers they were headed to see David Letterman's show. Officers waved them through and Kimbal made it to the meeting. That's fraud on entry, says Kurzban, the immigration expert. That would make him inadmissible and permanently barred from the United States, he said, unless the penalties were waived. Kimbal Musk has been pretty forthright, pretty open about how they came to the United States in an illegal way, how he crossed the border to get to that meeting, went away and came back.
You know, the immigration system in America is really messed up. Even though we were building something very exciting, even though we were courted by several investors, I still didn't have a proper visa. And so I got to the border, and they looked at me. I probably dressed too well. I should have dressed like a tourist or something. And they made me take my luggage apart and look at all my stuff, and inside were investor decks and even a business card that showed my address there. And they're like, you know, you can't do that. And I was like, okay, I don't really know what to do because I've got this critical meeting the next morning.
That was for everything. I mean,
that was for everything. It was the investor we wanted.
Yeah.
So I call my friend, who is a friend of mine, Jamie, and I say, would you mind picking me up and driving me across the border? So he picks me up. Drive to the border, say, do we tell the border guys we're going to go see the David Letterman show? And they were like, yeah, sure, go ahead. I get to the Buffalo airport, fly to San Francisco.
I mean, how many people still do that now? And Elon Musk saying that people shouldn't be doing that, railing against it, often on social media. So definitely a lot of hypocrisy going on here. Now, last month, Elon Musk called himself extremely pro-immigrant, being one myself. However, just as when hiring for a company, we should confirm that anyone allowed into the country is talented, hardworking, and ethical. Listen to what he's saying there. Is what they did ethical to start their company, or were they just getting in by any means they can, as people try and do to the US? A lot of people who really want to get into there, who's to say they're not the next Elon Musk? One of those people, or a few of those people, aren't the next Elon Musk whose brother or sister is going to start a new company. He's not to say that. That's exactly how he did from South Africa. He's just not seeing it because he's made it. He's already doing that, pulling up the ladder for other people, it could be said. Musk appeared to have benefited from his backers' initial inattention to his own status, according to former business associates. Yes, is this hypocrisy? What do you think of this? Let me know in the comments. I'm sure there'll be comments about this. Do you think that Elon Musk shouldn't be saying what he is because he did exactly that. He and his brother did exactly what he's saying people shouldn't do now. During the 1990s, when he was young, he's desperate to come to the US to make his fortune, make a name for himself, work in Silicon Valley. Who's to say others aren't doing the same thing? He's been very against it, as we've seen. One of the main things that he talks about, more about politics even than Tesla and SpaceX and his companies. He's got so far into politics. He desperately wants Donald Trump to win. That's another conversation. Why is he just so desperate for Donald Trump to win?
Elon! You know, he said the other day, oh, I've never voted for a Republican. I said, I didn't know that. He told me he voted for me. So he's another bullshit artist.
Is it just about free speech and killing the woke mind virus? Or is it about something else, all the probes and investigations going on with Elon's companies? Let me know in the comments what you think. Now on screen, I'm going to put a link to a related video if you're watching on YouTube, and related videos in the description. Go and see that now if you want to see more. And thanks to everybody for watching this, and I'll see you in the next one.